I hope you all are ready to listen to a girl talk for a long time because guess what? You can't interrupt me. You're all on mute. Yeah, you hear that? That's the sound of interruption insurance. Just me, the sound of my own voice, and that FBI agent watching my every move through that little camera. Boop! Which is great because according to George Washington University, without the mute button, girls get interrupted every 90 seconds. Meaning that I only have about a minute of speaking time until somebody interrupts me. No, you're right, Chad. Not all men. You're a statistical anomaly. According to statistics and Dr. Dale Spencer's Learning to Lose, men perceive conversation as dominated by women when women talk just 30% of the time. That'd be like me getting up here, giving a 3-minute speech, and still going over time. We can barely get a word in edgewise, and when we do, we're seen as talking too much, because it seems society would rather us just be quiet. The respect and space granted to individuals to express their thoughts and perspectives is influenced by their gender, leading to a world wherein some voices are never heard. So today, let's discuss the difficulties of being a woman in discussion. Then we'll yell about what happens to the loud girls, before finally hearing out some solutions. Now, I'm a good little orator. I walk on my transitions and I do my research, but the truth is, I didn't need a bunch of fancy articles to tell me that girls are discouraged from speaking. I could have told you that based on the fact that every year of my high school career, a boy in my class has told me to my face to shut up. It's almost like my comment was worth less than Chad's. Maybe it was only 82% as valuable? And there are Chads everywhere. According to a study done by Columbia University, in a classroom setting, girls tend to make their statements quieter, shorter, and less confidently, using language like I could be wrong or you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Sorry. No, not sorry. Would Ruth apologize? Get it together, Fulton. Now, that is actually my motto. What would Ruth Bader Ginsburg do? I want to make my heroes proud, but since kindergarten, we're taught to be unsure of ourselves, that it's okay for our male peers to interrupt us, that it's okay to interrupt other women, even when we know that it hurts. Rebecca Bigler, a gender studies researcher at the University of Texas, Austin, points out that we use gendered nouns with kids all the time. Good morning, boys and girls. What a good girl. Go ask that lady. And as Bigler explains, that tells children that gender is really important. Otherwise, why would you label it hundreds of times a day? The more children pay attention to gender, the more they pay attention to gender stereotypes, and the more likely they are to see men as strong leaders and women as supportive and submissive. As Melinda Wennermoyer, author of the book How to Raise Kids Who Aren't A-Holes, put it, here's the crux of the issue. The more ingrained our children's gender stereotypes become, the more easily they conclude that girls are inferior to boys, that boys have a higher status because they deserve it. When these children grow up to be parents, they'll continue to believe it. According to the New York Times, in America, parents rate their sons as more intelligent than their daughters. From kindergarten to college, our voices are valued less. Female students are given more fact-based questions, while the questions given to men encourage interpretation and opinion. Educators are even more likely to refer to their male students by name, essentially removing us from the room when we're sitting right there. When Chad from English class told me to shut up, my teacher, a man, didn't tell him that that was wrong. He just laughed it off. I want to think of myself as a strong and powerful woman who quiets myself for no one but I didn't speak for the rest of that class. And the situation is even worse for women of color. 40% of Black and Latina women report being spoken over in a professional setting, and Black girls are the least likely to feel comfortable contributing to a class discussion. When you aren't given the opportunity to speak up in a professional or academic setting, you're still learning. You're learning to shut up. Even here, in speech and debate, an event designed around speaking, women are at a serious disadvantage. According to a study done by former debater Daniel Tartakowski, women are 12% less likely to win an elimination debate round at a national tournament. Meanwhile, in speech, pretty much every event, except extemp, is thriving with female finalists. And that's great, but it sends a message that women are allowed to be successful while we're performing, in colorful suits if we open with jokes and don't move our hands too much, but not while we're arguing. It can be tempting to say that policy debate is a niche activity with no real-world impact. But even the New York Times acknowledges that the NSDA acts as a feeder into advocacy, law, politics, and to date just 23% of representatives are women, and less than 9% are women of color. We elected our first trans woman senator, Sarah McBride, during the last election. We are fighting so hard and making some progress, but we are still so far from equality. So when they don't listen to us in kindergarten, in English class, or in high school debate club, it begins a pattern of them not listening to us ever. But women's voices are crucial in every conversation. We are crucial. I am crucial. I will not be quiet. And I have a lot of opinions, like minimum wage be a living wage, Carrie Fisher needing that gold bikini, and Oxford commas are essential. That's why I was drawn to events like Oratory and extemp. Well, I was more drawn to extemp because I got tired of seeing all male finalists, so I thought I'd challenge the system. And I did. I won state. But along the way, every ballot I got marked me down for one of the following 3 reasons. I was too loud. I was too emotional. I moved my hands too much. At first, I thought they wanted me to be more masculine, but then I realized they wanted me to be more demure. Hillary Clinton was too shrill, Elizabeth Warren was too angry, Kamala Harris too aggressive. One day I want to go into politics, and I know that they will say the same about me. I was raised as, I hope you were raised as well, believing I could be anything. A scientist, a storyteller, president. I want to do that. I want to be a relentless force for good, but how can I do that if I'm continually being told to shut up? First solution, just keep talking. Hi, still talking. To as many of you as I can, as often as I can. Even the Chads, especially the Chads. So let's just talk. T-A-L-K. T is for temper. If you interrupt women, how about you temper that urge, eh? And if you get interrupted, don't just lose your temper, use it. Channel all the rage and grace of November 2020 Kamala Harris and say, I'm speaking. Say it as often as you need to. Mean it every time. Never shut up. A is for allocate. Be sure to allocate for and intentionally make space for women's voices. Encourage female students by name to share their opinions and not just facts. As Sienna Brancato said for the Georgetown Voice, when I do raise my hand in class, I am simultaneously recognizing that my words have value. Value them. L is for lift. Lift up the women around you. All women. White women, 82 cents is still more than our Latina counterparts, 54 cents on the dollar. And feminism must be inclusive. Dominique Fluker, senior contributor for Forbes Women, calls on white women to elevate the voices of women of color. Advocacy doesn't just look like praising work, products, and ideas. It also looks like sponsorship, mentorship, and acceptance. If you have power, empower others. And lastly, K, for reinforce. And I know that that doesn't start with a K, but I didn't learn the alphabet in kindergarten. I was too busy learning gender roles. Kidding. But we should always reinforce the good habits we want to see and remind people when they slip up. As Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, fight for what you care about, but do so in a way that leads others to join you. We all have learning to do, including me. Either way, my 10 minutes are up. Hey, thanks for not interrupting. But to borrow a phrase from my future self, I yield the floor. It's your turn, because the world is better when we're all speaking.